Start streaming. There we go. Just let me. Appeal is live. There it is.
You know if I need to press any other buttons or anything to get it to transmit the actual audio to your computer? Or I guess we are, because it's showing it on there, isn't it?
Count us down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That seems legit.
What
There
about
we go.
now? Can you hear us now?
Okay, hashtag blame Butters. Da-da. There we go. They should be able to
No,
hear
it
us.
was already like that, and they couldn't hear us.
No, but that was because I had this muted.
Okay. Can you hear us now? They
There
say
we
yes.
go. All right.
Yes.
So welcome to
Again. Yes.
episode number 62 of the Peel, or actually where it says there the Power Hour. But that's Sean's fault.
Wait. My fault. Hold on now. My fault. How is it my fault?
I don't know. I just have to pin the blame on somebody.
Well, you put the blame on Justin, who today is struggling with back issues, apparently probably laying in bed right now, sore and hurt and, everything else.
Well, that's the problem with working with retail.
Sounds like a personal problem, Gabe.
Come on. Hey, Gabe's actually here. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. How
On a
many
Tuesday.
weeks?
Yeah,
How
on a
many weeks
Tuesday.
has he been missing? Shame on you, Gabe.
Meh.
All right. So, like I
I
said,
don't know half these people in our chat. This is really strange, people.
but welcome.
Yeah, well, definitely.
But
for
let's
sure.
get
All
down
right,
to
so you're listening to the Peel. We are not on KTXF DV The Real this week.
Justin free edition.
That's Justin. Yes, indeed. And also Brutus free edition. No dogs this week.
Yeah.
But no, it's probably Callow acting as Gabe. But long and short, this week, just to really dive right into it, we've got a kit leak. And I hate it. I hate it with a
love it.
passion. I can't stand it. I don't know who it was that posted it in the Discord chat, but I also saw it in text messages in my group.
I think it was
text.
Callow.
Yeah, it might have been. No, I think it was Gabe. I don't know. Yeah, it was Gabe. I'm pretty sure it was Gabe. Gabe, I'm giving you a shout out.
FootyHeadlines.com leaked the new Houston Dynamo away kit, which I found really awesome.
It's the ugliest thing I've made this comment to 3 or 4 people now, and I'm going to stand by this comment. It looks like the initial iteration of the kit was just solid black, and it got sent to the Dynamo, and the Dynamo were like, add some orange to it. And the artist, whoever he was, the creator, was like, all right, cool. And he took an orange sticker and threw it on the front, and it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I seriously, it's not going to grow on me. I didn't originally like the painted black kit because there were just some little things about it that I didn't like. It grew on me. The white kit grew on me. This one, there's no chance it's growing on me. I just can't stand it.
Well, respect your opinion, but I find it completely wrong. Nah, just kidding.
I need help, Andres. What is that supposed to mean? Because I don't like it?
Yeah, he needs professional help. No, I honestly, when I saw it, I loved it. When I did my version of it, based on what they were saying, like, the Houston Dynamo usually leak some details out of it, beforehand with their graphics.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of made something an idea, and it was a little bit more higher up. But
basically
I honestly,
the same thing, yeah.
you know what actually, a lot of people were saying was that the orange portion of the kit kind of looks a similar pattern to the Astros rainbow kits.
So I look at the kit and I really think like. I see the kit, and it reminds me of those old Astros jerseys, don't get me wrong. But it's like this kit is intended to be a retro throwback type of kit, just like retro throwback soccer kit. And unfortunately, we just got stuck with like the worst possible gradient combination. Like that, it looks tacky. It looks janky. I can't think of any other better word for it. It would have been better if they had gone solid black and just used orange piping all the way around. They could have put that down somewhere else. They could have put it down. They could look. This would have been better. The gradients down the sides. It would have been perfect. But right there, it just looks. Part of it is it looks so blank without a sponsor, because BHB Phillison is no longer a Dynamo kit sponsor. So it just looks blank. It looks bland. It looks dry. And it looks like somebody took a clip art, picture and just tossed it onto the front of a kit, and the Dynamo were kind of like, I guess that'll work. I mean, I've seen bicycle jerseys that look like that, like cycling jerseys. They've got the same style to them. I just can't stand it. I just can't. It doesn't. There's nothing to me from that says this is a Dynamo kit. It is a kit that says I'm a generic kit. I'm a rebrand of another kit. I'm a template kit. I want Dynamo-specific kits.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw the picture. There it is. So that is the new away Dynamo kit.
Ugly. Oh,
I honestly love it. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, that it might look kind of like
it
as
reminds
a second
me,
thought.
I've seen the Germany kits from a few years ago or a couple years ago. They kind of look a little bit like that. I get that. That's cool, whatever. But I just feel like they just came up short with this one, and there were so many other things they could have done to make it better. Johnny says that his 6-year-old just said she loves the Dynamo, not the Toros. Edson is hurt.
And that's what happens when you can't feel a competitive team. But we'll get to that later. What's up, my Presidente Johnny? He's in the house. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It looks like an afterthought. The orange looks like an afterthought. Maybe if they had blended it, like had some sort of fade between the orange and the black.
That's the way that I would have done it, right? If you're gonna leave the gradient there, cool. Make it almost like a flaming type of thing, like not flaming that way, but like flaming in terms of like make it fade and give it some texture, give it something.
Yeah.
It's so flat. The bars are flat. They don't fade into each other.
You know what? Just looking at it, it just looks like.
It looks like somebody's
like a Tigres kid gone wrong.
It looks like somebody's holding a freaking flag, a freaking orange flag in front of a shirt. I mean, that's literally what it looks like to me.
No, but like I was saying, like it's like a Tigres shirt with like a.
But you can see, like, if you look from just the gradient down,
yes,
it looks like an old like 70s, 80s shirt, like a soccer shirt.
Yeah.
From there down, and then from there up, it looks like, you know, a little bit newer 90s, you know, 2000 shirt.
And you know what? Now I'm probably being a little nitpicky now, but I feel it would have been more cohesive if they had used a darker color on the stripes and the collar area.
You know, there was a lot of discussion about them going with a slightly darker color for the orange, and I've kind of been telling people be wary of that because I don't think that's going to be the case. I thought it was going to kind of be like this, just without the gray. Every time I see that gradient, it just distracts me. It's so bad. Maybe that's the intent. Maybe just by having a terrible kit, maybe they're just hoping that they can leverage that to make other, you know, oppositions just like cringe and horror at the color of the kit or something. I don't know. But we've beat that kit into, I think, bloody submission for sure at this point. There was some other news that came out today. There are going to be plenty of people who will buy the kit, but I'll say this. They are missing a huge opportunity. The painted black kits were popular because they had a theme. This kit, I don't see the theme behind it.
Whose fault is that? That's marketing's fault.
But do you really think marketing had anything to say about this kit? Do you really think they were involved in the making of the kit? No. Because if they were, it would at least have something a little bit more pop, a little more flair, a little more dramaticism.
But even then, I think like the painted black was a kind of that came after, like they like internally they knew what the kit was.
Every time, so just so you know, every time you push this down, like put your weight on it, it's moving my microphone further, like it moves it back and then it comes up because it's very. So just, you can put your arms on it. Just if you're going to do it, don't move them up and down. Anyways, sorry, distractions. Alex, to answer your question, he asked how accurate are their leaks. Footy Headlines is known for pretty spot on kit leaks.
Yeah, them and
I would say that's probably a final iteration that was sent around to the Dynamo as for approvals, and I guarantee you that's probably 98, 99% accurate. There may be some minor little things we don't know about yet. You know, maybe there's something small, but I continue to say that they're going to try to do something about, like, they're going to try to say that the design holds some value and importance, like there's some
marketing,
thought behind it. And at the end of the day, I'm just like, no, you can't tell me that rectangle looks like anything other than just I threw something on the front of the shirt.
It's kind of like the new Vancouver Whitecaps jersey. Like they say, like, oh, the triangle pattern is like
but
the
their
unity.
Kit, so here's the thing, their kit at least has texture to, like, you know, no, it's worse than that. This is equivalent to the FC Dallas. I'm going to put a slight imprinted texture to create that slight hoops effect because we want to get rid of the hoops. Like, it's that bad. It looks that bad to me. And, you know, you were saying, well, at least it's not the Dallas kit. And I'm sitting there thinking, honestly, I would rather the Dallas kit in an orange color with black than the crap that is right there. I really would. That's how bad this is.
But you also have to take into consideration that this is the away kit. This is not the primary kit. Now, if they mess something with the primary kit,
it's not going to be home and away anymore. That's not how they use these kits. Now it's just primary and alternate kit. So they can use that primary kit for all purposes. They could also use the alternate kit for all purposes. That's why they were able to wear the painted black kits last year at home a couple of times.
Well, see, the thing is, I think it's tradition to call it home and away. Because
it is, but they're trying to get away. They used to do this back in the mid to late 90s. This is what they would do. They would have two kits. They would have their primary kit and their away kit. Yeah. Primary kit they would basically use for 80-90% of the games. That, like, 2, 3, 4 matches. The rest of those they would use the alternate kit, and they used them kind of like in football. I mean, well, football
just
has
to not clash.
Yeah, just so that they wouldn't clash, but also so that they could have an event around it type of thing. You know, like to try to boost the fans, and that's what they're trying to get back to because it helps. It really does. It creates some sort of an atmosphere to have those.
It's kind of like Tigres with their third kit. Like they sell third kits, but they never use them. So people are like, why should I buy it if the players don't even wear them? But yeah, let's go ahead and go into other news. So today, Victor Ariza was at practice.
You went to practice today?
No, Victor.
Oh, okay. You were talking to him after the fact or during the fact.
No, he had a broadcast. He broadcasted through Periscope. So
you didn't bother to tell me. I would have tuned in.
Andres posted it on Discord.
I must have been busy at that point. Sorry, my bad.
And then right after I said something about it, that's when he finished. I think the broadcast only lasted 5 minutes. But anyway, so he was talking to they were interviewing Coach Cabrera, and he asked the question to Profe Cabrera whether he would like or what was the deal, what was the status with Vicente Sanchez. And so he just flat out said that Vicente has already retired, has already chosen to retire.
Yeah.
And so, don't expect him back.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? I kind of had the feeling we were headed that. I'm just moving that back so that it's out of my way.
Yeah.
I kind of had a feeling this was coming. I mean, he's been borderline for so long since basically the entire offseason he's been borderline.
Yes.
And I think he's just ready to move into a different role, and I know the Dynamo will offer him some sort of coaching position and some sort of, whether it's here or RGV or whatever, or even at their PDL team.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities for him to get into coaching, and I think maybe he just wants to. He might even want to just take a year off. It's not like he's hurting for money, so he could take a year off, relax, enjoy the year, and just not be busy with anything. Yeah. Spend the time with his kids, with his family, and then come back next year doing some sort of coaching or something.
And and I think. He posted Andres, was it his Instagram? A picture of him like chilling.
Yeah, that was his Instagram.
Yeah, just chilling on his bed. I think he was drinking this typical.
He was drinking
tea.
the Dynamo Kool-Aid. I'm just kidding.
No, I think I forget mate. It's called mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what he was drinking. But yeah, good for Vicente Sanchez. I think he deserves it after all of his career.
I mean, I wish he was coming back. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I completely understand why he's not coming back, and I'm willing to accept that he's not coming back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. We have to move on. We have to look for that younger talent to rise up.
And speaking of younger talent, what a great segue. So today it was also leaked, not announced, that the Dynamo have signed a 17-year-old Honduran to the academy, and he's going to play there until he's 18. And he's 17. He's supposed to be, according to what I've heard, he's supposed to be a 17-year-old center forward. Not center forward. Yeah, center forward who can also play. No, he's not a center forward.
Winger, no?
Winger. Midfielder who's also a winger. There we go. Mm-hmm. And he can play out wide. Very reminiscent to me in terms of what I've heard about him. Very reminiscent to Palomino or Luca or even Memo. And so I'm intrigued by this, to say the least, because this, to my knowledge, from my experiences, is the first time the Dynamo have signed anyone internationally in this capacity at this age to their academy with clear intent to move them through the pipeline.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's Josh. I like the new kit. That looks like an authentic because it had the Texas flag.
Yeah, it was the authentic. It had the Texas flag. It had the stars above the Dynamo crest,
and the Adidas logo is pressed on.
Yeah, and I think there's an MLS logo on there as well, which is another authentic.
But thank you, Josh, for your opinion.
I agree, Josh. It sucks. Just so everybody knows, Josh thinks it sucks too.
Yeah. So, anyways, going back. I think it's a really welcome change, not just thinking about now the present, but also the future. And if they're noticing that the pipeline is not really working as like from academy to the first team, they're probably going to have to start doing some poaching of their own to, poach them young, develop them here, and then,
Well, here's the thing, right? He's 17. Palomino is 16. Memo's a little older now. He's 22, 23. Mm-hmm. But what this shows me though is a commitment to growing the academy, a commitment to expanding the reach of the academy. I mean, they're going into Honduras and grabbing a player out of the Honduran, youth leagues and everything. And that's for us, that is a huge leap forward in my opinion. Because that requires scouting of players, that requires, working with the player to figure out his situation for school, his situation for day-to-day stuff, his situation for
the future of his family,
how he's going to do everything. I mean, his whole life.
Yes.
As opposed to just having a kid that's already in the academy because he's from this area.
Now, my question is, and I'm sure it's come out many times before, talking about the failure of USSF, and the Dynamo Academy as well. What's happening to the fact that we're losing some of this young talent to Mexican clubs? You have a lot of Hispanic Americans.
It's not just the Dynamo. I mean, look at Jonathan Gonzalez. It's not just the Dynamo in general. There's always been that tension between Liga MX and MLS.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, yes, I'm glad that they're getting young talent, but why aren't they? What is it that they can't keep our local talent and move it through the pipeline? Somebody else has to come, take them away, and to make them unlock their full potential.
Well, you say unlock their full potential, but out of the players that have come out of the Dynamo Academy that have gone abroad or have gone to teams outside of Houston, how many of them actually succeed?
I'm talking this time. I'm talking about U.S. in general.
I know, but the point still stands in general, like just from the Dynamo standpoint. I think we have to be careful, right? Because the U.S. has an issue. The Dynamo don't necessarily have an issue right now. The concern is we're seeing it happen with Luka. We've seen it happen with Luka. We've seen it in other players coming out of the academy that didn't pan out.
Yes.
But I think that all it takes is one player that succeeds. All it takes is Memo having a fantastic season this year and pushing into the starting lineup. All it takes is Palomino moving from RGV. I have a feeling he's going to be signed to an MLS contract, ends up at RGV, and then ends up loaned to the Dynamo at the end of the season.
So, interestingly, I want to bring this up. This past week, I had put a poll on Down in the Valley regarding Marcelo Palomino. My question was, if Marcelo Palomino is given a USL contract or is given an MLS two-way contract with MLS, should the Dynamo put in a minimum amount of minutes that RGV must play him in that contract? And at the beginning, it was a complete. It was like the vast majority said no. Then all of a sudden, like through like the middle of the day and to the end of the 24-hour period, the number of yeses actually surpassed the number of no's. So I think it was like 57% yes to the 43% no, which really surprised me. Another thing I found surprising was there were more people stating their opinions why they shouldn't than why they should. I think only one guy, and you were debating with him for a while as to why they should put in a minimum amount of minutes for him.
Yeah, and we can hash that discussion real quick, just so people are aware. The primary reason for pushing to have Palomino have a set number of minutes, a minimum number of minutes that he needs to play with RGV, if what we expect happens, is because people expect that if he goes and he's not set to those, if there's not that expectation to set that he needs to play this many minutes, that he won't get that many minutes. My point of contention to that is if the player is good enough, if you really do believe this player has the mentality, has the physicality, has the technicality, all of those things that come together to create a professional player.
Yeah, Carson.
I'm right with you, Carson. He has all of these things to create what you believe is necessary to be a professional player.
Yes.
And the only thing he needs is to just mature due to years, due to age.
Yes.
Then you believe he's good enough to push for a starting spot or at least push for minutes as a sub as part of RGV. In my opinion, he's good enough right now to push for starting minutes and possibly even become a permanent starter at RGV this season, which I know makes you smile and very happy.
Yes.
So my point, though, is if he's good enough, if he is as good as you think he is, forget everything else. He should, against players in USL and at RGV, he should be able to push for those starting minutes just by being the player he is.
Yes.
If he can't earn those starting minutes, if there's an issue with the coach, That's something that needs to be brought up to the front office so they can deal with. But if there's no issue with the coach, there's not going to be an issue with Gershon. But just for instance, let's say there's an issue with Gershon and something happens and there ends up being this kind of, tension between the two of them.
Yes.
And Gershon's not playing him. The Dynamo will kind of take notice of that. They're not going to just ignore it. I think the problem with Luka was that, honestly, he kind of expected to be handed a lot. He kind of went into the situation expecting to be, it was a handout. It was, here, you're a Dynamo Academy player, so you're an RGV. We're going to give you everything. Yeah. And in reality, he had to fight, and he had to claw his way, and I just don't think he had it in him to do it. He tried, but I don't think he put in as much effort as he could have. The difference and the reason why Memo made it through, Memo's work ethic.
Yes.
We've been told time and again, Palomino is Luka's talent with Memo's work ethic. To me, that is what is necessary to succeed at RGV, to succeed in USL.
And that is why Marcelo Palomino has just recently been called up to the national team.
And but you could almost see that Wilmer is placing a lot of trust in this kid. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we're noticing too is how every time I've seen him play so far in a match, or have heard him play or followed him playing in a match, he's been paired, quote unquote, paired with Mac. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a partnership I want to see blossom, because Palomino feeding Mac means goals.
Yes.
And means goals on set pieces, on, in the run of play. Counters. And it just creates a completely different dynamic that we currently don't have, because we don't have anybody that is that physical during set pieces. Mm-hmm. And it makes me giddy with excitement to think of what that could be, because that's what the Dynamo used to be. They used to rely, the Dynamo used to rely, thank you, Carson. The Dynamo used to rely on set pieces. That was their bread and butter. They were going to wear you down for 90 minutes, and then they were going to score that in the final dying moments, because they knew they could beat you on a free kick. They could beat you in the not in the run of play. They could beat you on a free kick. They could beat you on a corner kick. They could beat you in in some sort of situation on a set piece.
Yes.
And I want that mentality back, but not to that extent. I don't want to have to rely on those final moments, but I want to be able to score on free kicks.
In case a match is too...
if you need it at the end, you want to be able to have it. You don't want to be in a situation where you're not sure if you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, Carson agrees with me that that Palomino shouldn't need the minutes gifted to him if he is as legit as we all think he is.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I said.
Yeah, I think another reason why he shouldn't be getting minutes, number two is, he gets, let's say they do give him this, okay, you have to play a minimum of minutes. Because the guy you were debating with, he was like, well, he's having a really great offseason. That's why, he should deserve, that minimum amount of minutes. I'm like, okay, so you're going to base yourself on an offseason. And let's say during the season, he's just slacking.
Yeah.
And now you're stuck with, now you have to put him for this amount of minutes. Whereas another player who has worked harder for his position can't get the minutes because, we have to do it to give this to Palomino.
Exactly.
So that
you can be sacrificing.
That brings down the morale.
Well, yeah, morale, that's a big one. But it's also sacrificing the potential development of a player who you have in your system as well for another player who may or may not pan out.
Yes.
Palomino is not, he's low risk, high reward, and your other RGV players are low risk, middle reward.
Yes.
And so you just have to be very careful. I don't like the idea of forcing minutes onto players. I want to see them earn it, because at the end of the day, if they're not putting in the effort to earn it, if they're not fitting in the system, if they can't find their niche, if they're not comfortable, whatever it may be, that is the mark of an unprofessional player. As a professional player, you're going to have situations where you're not fitting into the lineup, where you're not fitting in with the coach, where you're not fitting in with the front office, where you're not happy with your contract, Riyad Mahrez, with Leicester City. Whatever it may be, you're going to have moments where things just don't go the way you want them to go. It is your drive and your determination to be a professional player that's going to see you through those times. If you want to be the pinnacle of your sport, if you want to be Cristiano Ronaldo, you have to push through. You sometimes have to carry the team on your shoulders. you have to go out there and you have to be willing to push through, regardless of all the other situations and scenarios and everything else going on around.
Or you have to play in a different position for the benefit of the team.
For the benefit of the team. Sometimes it's about putting the team first.
Like Gignac.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come up.
Anyway, so we talked a little bit about Marcelo Palomino. I think we said what we needed to say, and we said it for.
I will say this, since I want to ask you, I didn't get a chance to watch because obviously there was no stream. Thanks Dynamo, thanks RGV, thanks Internet.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me do audio play-by-play either. So.
Well, that wouldn't have mattered. You wouldn't have been able to start until the second period.
Yeah, and then even then I was like, okay, who is this? Because the Toros didn't have any numbers and no lineups.
So I was going to ask you, how did Palomino look? How did Max Steves look? Give us some, you were there. You had eyeballs. Who looked good? Who looked a little out of sorts? Who concerned you? Who did you come away with thinking, maybe this is better than I thought it was going to be?
Max Steves looked good, as well as didn't get to see a lot of Palomino. I saw a lot of Charlie.
What about Aguilar, Pablo Aguilar?
I didn't really pay much attention to
he
Aguilar.
Had an assist to Steve's, and
then to be fair, like he was saying, I was trying to get the internet to work in the first period. That's when the Dynamo only beat 1-0 the Toros with Toro Alvarez goal, and then what else can I think of? So that period. That was when things were very, very equal between both teams. Dynamo had a lot more scoring opportunities.
Johnny says you were drunk.
I was not drunk, Johnny. You guys were more drunk. You guys had a keg of beer.
Sorry.
No, I know.
I'm just trying to picture this kid drunk, and I just can't do it. That says all I need to know, Edson. It says all I need to know right there.
You don't want to know.
I don't.
So
Carson Mares to RGV.
Yeah, like that will ever happen. But anyways, so that things looked very equal. It was just that difference with the house. The Dynamo were their shots were more on target than Toros.
There was that crispness, that level of refinement that you saw between the Dynamo and RGV and the RGV.
It was a huge difference though between chemistry. I have to say though, with RGV, Kyle Adams looked really good. Which, by the way, Carson's going to have an interview with him on Dynamo Theory. Plug. And thank you, Carson.
Hashtag shameless plug.
Right. But other than that, RGV could not connect many passes. They were very, very lacking up on top when they were able to make it to the Dynamo's half of the court. Field, pitch. The pitch. They would lose the ball really easily, or their shots were way wide, and then once they started, the RGV started putting in all these young trialists. In the second and the third period, that's when, and then the Dynamo at the same time was starting to put more of their starters. That's when the difference just became exponential.
Yeah.
That's when you started seeing all these goals. Elise was having a field day. So was Beasley. Everybody was having a field day. The RGV Toros were making childish mistakes and trying to get out. It was like 2 or 3 times where they lost it right outside the box. And there was actually one where I don't know what the defender was trying to do, but he passed it back and it was straight towards Elise. So it was those childish mistakes that brought us all these goals against.
Did you have flashbacks to last RGV season?
Yes, but again, I kind of realized that I'm pretty sure the majority of those flips, and what I heard, what my source heard, is that a lot of these trialists right after the game were
told not to come back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so they were cut from the roster.
Yeah,
which is a topic that I'm probably gonna talk about tomorrow in Down in the Valley, because
are you gonna start doing it regularly on Wednesdays? Is that the new time and day?
Yes.
I'm going to hold you to that. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know.
Down in the Valley, Wednesdays at 7 p.m.
And
sometimes 7:30, depending on traffic.
Yeah, because hashtag Houston.
Yeah, hashtag Houston traffic.
Oh, and Eric Burr scored a beautiful goal.
That was supposed. They had a video of it. They posted a video of it, and
Yeah.
that was quite the goal. Not
Yeah.
Victor Wanyama quality, but it was it was up there. It was definitely high quality.
And
So-
Charlie doing what he knows what to
Bossing the midfield.
Yeah.
So the real question I have for you, obviously 9-1 is not a flattering scoreline for any team. Over 90 minutes, that's basically a goal every 10 minutes.
do. You also have to consider that the Toros only had 4 days of training.
Well, I was about to say, though, the question I have for you is the 9-1 scoreline a reflection of how good the Dynamo are or how bad RGV is currently? What do you think, which way do you lean on that? Or is it some of both?
I think it's more about, like I said before, when you had all these technically non-RGV players out on the field, that's where this difference came through. Because when you had most of the guys that we actually signed, which are Connor Donovan, Kyle Adams, Jorginho James, who's back.
Monroy.
No, it was actually Pungo.
Oh, Pungo.
Pungo, Todd Warden. Things were a little bit more equal.
Yeah.
Obviously you have to work on some chemistry issues.
Yeah,
but that comes
fitness too.
Yeah,
Fitness, because they obviously hadn't played even
Yeah.
at that point. Probably played 30 minutes straight. And
And
RGV off seasons a little longer than the Dynamo off season.
yes, yeah. You can say that. But
So okay, we've talked RGV now. So now we need to talk about one player on the Dynamo roster who has yet to play in a match in preseason.
Romel El Romántico Kyoto.
He's romancing something right now, and it's not the Dynamo, and it's not fans. I don't know what's going on with Kyoto. I understand being sick, but when you start posting stuff of you out and about, I expect you to be at camp and putting in the effort and putting in the
Se
work.
está haciendo pendejo, la verdad.
Oh, I don't think we're allowed to say that word on. Well, we're on YouTube. Never mind, we're allowed to say that
Yeah,
word.
we're not.
I was like, wait, we're
today
not KTXF anymore.
Yeah.
Not today.
No, no. So I was actually talking with a friend of mine last night about that, and when you really have the flu, when you really have the flu,
Oh, you're not doing anything.
yeah, you're too miserable to go out and about. You're too miserable to go out shopping. You're too miserable to play FIFA. You're too miserable.
I don't know about miserable to play FIFA. That's going a bit of a stretch there.
No,
I've
because
had the
because
flu
you get
before. I can say that.
well, at least in my case, when I feel really miserable, and then playing video games gets me headaches.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And then, or too miserable to go get yourself another tattoo.
Yeah. What I see as a player that frankly is one of two things: either not committed to being here, or is already committed else. Has already mentally moved himself somewhere else. It's a player that simply just doesn't want to be here, and it's whether it's here with the team, here under Wilmer, here with certain players on the team that he's not comfortable with, whatever it may be. There's clearly something going on, in my opinion, that is a mental issue.
And not only that, this whole deal with him, his constant rants on Twitter, when he lost the Best Honduran Player Award by Diario Diaz, he went on a huge Twitter rant saying how those journalists were stupid, yada yada yada. They don't know anything, and not even congratulating Elise, who's supposed to be his friend and teammate, And people were calling him out on that, and he was like, "Oh, you're just jealous, who I am." So he lost. He lost his. He's not humble. I just have to say that.
Well, we were talking about this earlier on this same episode. Kyoto just tweeted a video of him and the team taking pictures inside BBVA. Sure. Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't a forced type thing at all. 38 minutes ago. Oh boy.
Well, on his Instagram as well, he actually had a picture of, I guess, his little locker where he's now going to be wearing number 31.
Yeah. Number changes for sure. There's been 3 players with changes in numbers.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to say, so, a lot is made that Elisa's comfort level with the Dynamo and in MLS in general stems from Kyoto. But it almost is getting to a point where I'm starting to question if that's even true. I don't think Elise relies on Kyoto at all. No. I think he would be just fine by himself on this team with no other. And not by himself. Boney's here, but I don't think he needs Kyoto to thrive in MLS at this point.
Just remember open practice. Kyoto wasn't there, and he looked really, really dedicated.
Elise looked above and beyond everybody else on that pitch.
So I honestly don't believe that he needs Kyoto. I think he's mature enough to know that he's got a commitment with the team, that he's got a commitment with the fans, and that he needs to put his effort, his 100% effort, day in and day out on the pitch.
So it comes down to this, right? If the player wants to move where he wants to move, if he truly wants to go to LA as a player, if he wants to go to a larger market, okay, cool, I got no problem with that. But you better as hell put in the effort to show those teams that you're worth them, reaching out and putting something on the line.
Sell yourself.
Exactly. And so, time will tell what's going to happen with Kyoto, but I just have this feeling that Kyoto's not going to be in orange by the end of the season.
Nah,
I just don't. There's just something there that's not quite adding up. That's making me believe that if the Dynamo had the opportunity, he would be gone just like Kubo.
He is another bad apple, from what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And Wilmer said it before. I don't want bad apples.
If you don't want to be here, we don't want you here.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens because I definitely think he's – it's not even definitely think. I know he is good quality in terms of technical ability on the pitch, in terms of tactical ability on the pitch, in terms of his pace, in terms of his just athleticism on the pitch. But at the end of the day, what I'm really concerned about with him is that mentality, and I've seen it destroy players' careers. Simply because they got too big for their own britches, because they refused to put in the work because you know what? They didn't have to because they were good enough. And that's not – just because you're good enough doesn't mean you can't put in the work.
I'm looking at you, Giovanni Dos Santos.
Nobody cares about Gio, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so I think we're at the hour. Oh,
where are we at?
40 minutes in. Feels like a whole lot longer talking to you. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Wow.
# blame Butters. No. Okay, so we have talked a lot of things already, and the only drawback to not having breaks is we just keep going and going and going and going and going. Okay, let's see. We've already talked about the preseason match. So depth chart possibilities. Corey did release these just the other day, and I'll have to see if I can pull them up. But I didn't. He released them, and basically his says that what you would expect is who you expect to be starting.
Yes.
There were no surprises, and it shouldn't surprise anybody. What I was intrigued by the most were a couple of things. Number one, the backup keeper is McLean, and I actually was really impressed by Michael Nelson more than I was McLean at open practice.
Yes.
And then the other was Boney as an attacking midfielder as the backup up there. Mm-hmm. I understand why he would be there because that's really probably where they prefer him, but I've never been really comfortable with him in that position. He's much better on the wings where he can take players on 1v1. Him centrally, just to me, it doesn't work.
Might also have to do with how old he is now. He's not as agile. He's not as fast as he was before.
Possibly. And also attacking Arturo Alvarez was in that same group as well. So Boney's probably not likely to see a lot of minutes there, but it was good to see.
Let's take a look at the chat. I got you.
There's been nothing new.
Okay.
They're still talking about Kyoto. They're behind. Slackers.
Yeah. So, So I think another one of the things is that we notice is that obviously we know that the defensive midfield position is stacked. Yeah, because you have Alexander.
But the thing is it's not necessarily so. And Corey hinted at this too. The Dynamo have been lining up so far in preseason and his discussions with other personnel. They've been lining up more or less in a 4-2-3-1, which is what they tried to play under Coyle, but it didn't work. So a 4-2-3-1. Why are we? Oh, you paused it on there,
yes.
So you can watch the chat. Mm-hmm. A 4-2-3-1. What is an SB?
What is SB, Blues fan?
He's playing his Super Bowls. I don't know.
# don't free Derek.
It's terrible.
We were talking about the midfield. Oh, because I think you were saying like there was questions whether is it going to be a 4-2-3-1, is it a 4-3-3, and I think they actually asked him today in open practice, and Coach Cabrera mentioned.
Cabrenner?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Coach Cabrenner.
Coach Cabrera mentioned that obviously the formation is going to evolve as needed during the match. So when you're attacking, you'll probably have a 4-3-3. When you're defending, you'll probably get the wingers to come down. It'll be more of a 4-5-1. So there's never really. It was one of those ambiguous answers where he said a lot but didn't really answer much. Which is, I guess you can say, you mentioned it is kind of typical of Cabrera.
Mm-hmm.
But at least we know, that there is gonna be some sort of very, how can I say it? Very midfield based. The control is gonna come from the midfield.
And Wilmer said he wants a possession-oriented team, so it makes sense. You want to be able to control. Essentially, what I think Wilmer really wants to see, and what I think the Dynamo want to see, is keeping the ball in the opponent's half of the pitch. The less amount of time the opponent spends in your half of the pitch, the higher your probability of winning goes up.
My question here is, we've seen Elise do so good with when we were counterattack based team. How good is he though when it comes to a more possession minded approach to the game? Not just the long balls, which I know Fuenmayor can do. From what I've seen in his videos, he has really precise long balls that goes from the defense straight to the attack. But if we're going to be more possession based, more of keeping control, keeping possession of the ball, building up the play slowly from defense to attack, how good is Elise going to be in that? Because he's not going to be able to exploit on a longer time. I'm not even saying the right words. But he's going to be so limited because he's only going to be limited to the short bursts to try to get away from the defenders. He's not going to have that, or like they throw the ball long. He's got a long field ahead of him to get past the defender.
He's not going to be able to rely strictly on his pace.
Yes.
He's going to have to rely on his technical ability. I think we actually saw that a little bit, though, in open practice, where he actually megged a defender in the run of play.
I saw that.
On a move that was just I don't know where he pulled that from because I had not seen him do that to anybody before. But, oh, my God, I was just like, oh. Like, it was like the heavens opened up and everything was great. But I say that to say I think there's a level with Elise that we haven't seen yet when it comes to the technical ability. Because last year it was so heavy on the counterattack. Mm-hmm. He still scored goals even when we were still playing the more possession-oriented style at the end of last season. In fact, he got better as the season went on. Mm-hmm. I think what you're going to find with Elise is that he's capable of adapting to whatever style you want to play, unless you want him to be a sole striker. But that's a totally different situation that I hope we never get to.
Please.
But I think what we'll also see is Tomas and him, there's a chemistry that's there right now. If that chemistry continues to build going into the season, look out, because Tomas will unlock Elise. Tomas will create opportunities for Elise in the run of play.
Through balls,
balls just chipped over a defender, whatever it may be.
There's so much potential in this team because they're so young, because now players like Tomas, who came in the middle of the season last year, now they have the off season to work on that chemistry, to get to know each other well, to get to know exactly. Okay, so at least technically, for the most part, runs to this part of the field, and thinks, or at least he's like, well, okay, Tomas, for the most part, passes through to this part of the position, so that's where I'm gonna have to get to. And other little details that can only be learned as time progresses.
Well, and here's the other thing too, right? So, as with a possession-oriented game, you're trying to draw the defenders and the opposition to you because they want the ball. Mm-hmm. So, the more that starts to happen, especially towards the end of a match, Elise is not running as hard because he's not having to push to try to on the counter so much. If he's resting a little bit during matches, at the end of the match, him versus a tired defender, it's him every time. So there's some tactical thought behind that. There's some thought into why do we want to play this way. Part of it, I think, is that. I think that there's this desire to see us wear other teams down with our possession to the point kind of like Barcelona used to do, kind of like Real Madrid used to. Yeah, the tiki-taka. Because it's just so hard to break a team down that's so good in possession. And by the time you try, they've already exploited whatever hole you leave. Yeah. And that's what Wilmer wants to, it seems like at least, that's what Wilmer wants to incorporate into this team. That's the mentality, the mindset, the focus, the goal.
My other question is, possession-based. One of the problems with possession-based tactics is when you have a team that parks the bus.
I mean, yes and no. There are ways to break them down. Well, the thing is we've seen that the Dynamo are capable of playing other ways besides just possession-based. They just want to become. They want to add possession-based into their repertoire.
What I would like to see more out of the Dynamo, out of Tomas, who is in that part of the position, or sometimes maybe even Eric Alexander. Or whoever is playing there in the midfield, Arturo Alvarez, long shots from outside the box. Yeah, that might be one way to break apart a defense that's parking the bus.
And that's what Alex did really well in the middle to the end of the season. He was not afraid to shoot when he had the opportunity. And we saw Tomas try a few times, but I think we'll see Wilmer open him up a little bit more this season. Give him the opportunity to make those decisions when he needs to shoot versus when he needs to pass. Yeah. So Blues fan says he thinks we'll continue to see Elise evolve, and the possession-based game will help his fitness so much more than counterattack, and I agree with that. I mean, he's known for his fitness to begin with. He's a guy that will run and run and run and run and run. But I do agree that the possession-based will help him because he's not going to be having to run as hard. He's not going to be making wind sprints constantly up and down, for 90 minutes. He's only going to be doing wind sprints for 45 of that time, and then the other time he'll be just beating defenders. At least that's my hope. So just so you guys know, if you are watching, which there are 12 of you watching, 13 of you watching right now, please give the video a like and a share and subscribe to our YouTube page. We would very much appreciate it. And I think it's time that we announce that we are going to be doing a giveaway this week. We've been kind of quiet about it. We got this one to give away. Yeah. And yours is going to be given away on your show tomorrow because it's a RGV scarf. Yes. So we're giving away 2 scarves. Tonight we're going to give away the Dynamo scarf. Our model, Edson Ochoa, is going to model off the scarf for you. Oh, Lord have mercy. It says Houston on one side, and I'm pretty sure it says Dynamo on the other. It's a very, very, basic scarf. Scarf, Carson, scarf. Scarf. It's a scarf.
You get a car. We all get cars. Yeah, right.
Edson said that. Apparently he's become Oprah Winfrey.
Nothing.
But we're going to be giving away a scarf. So if you were in the YouTube chat, ugliest model in the history of the world. Ouch.
Wow, Carson.
Ouch.
I'll remember that next time.
So we're going to be giving away the scarf on this episode. If you are currently in the chat, I want you to send us a tweet. Yeah, I'm going to make it difficult for you. Send us a tweet at the Peel 05.
We should have it where we should have a trivia.
Do we have a trivia question to ask? That's the problem. I don't have anything prepared. Andres, it's on you, my man. Come up with a trivia question. You're good at those. Dynamo-related trivia question.
Wow, Carson. More like dope bro Winfrey.
Man, Carson's just getting in the licks and the hits here and there. Just bam, bam, bam.
I'm already hurt enough from last Sunday.
Sunday?
The Super Bowl?
Nobody cares. Which writer covers the Toros for Dynamo Theory? No, Carson, that's not the trivia question. I mean, there's 11 of you in chat, so I would expect someone. Okay, so what we're going to do
Andrew,
is...
go ahead.
Okay. He's working on it.
He should send it to you privately through Discord.
Yeah, send it to me through Discord. I tweeted a beg for follow. Okay, I will follow you right now, Blues fan. See, if you ask, you shall receive. Oh.
You haven't followed him?
Not from the Peel account, apparently. I follow him from my own account.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't follow you. How do I not follow you from my own account? My bad. That's on me. That's on me. We'll get that right. All right, there you go. You got 2 followers in the last 5 minutes. Good job, Blues fan. But yeah, we'll do that giveaway here in just a minute with Andres once he sends me the question, and I vet the question to make sure I actually know the answer before I share it.
Yes.
But if you are in the YouTube chat, you are eligible to receive the scarf. We will mail it to you, which means I have to pay for shipping. That's fine.
Or they can wait till the home game.
Yeah, or you can wait until a home game and we can give it to you in person, or you could just stop by if you're in the Houston area. Whatever. We'll figure a way to get it to you. And Justin and Josh, I'm actually going to give you the opportunity as well for this since you guys are watching. You guys both can answer the question, the trivia question when we share it, and whoever answers it correctly first is the key.
Okay.
Oh, snap. That's
All
a
right.
really good one. I like that one. Oh,
all right.
God.
I'll go ahead and say the question.
That just makes me cringe.
This is the question.
Wait. We got to explain what the rules are. Okay. So. Hey, Brian needs a new one. Well, I guess, Brian, you better figure out the answer to the question. All right. So, this is going to.
Before you go on, I want to say hi to Brian Lockridge. I met him, actually met him, and as well as Bear.
At the match.
Pat, and in person at the match. Really, really nice people.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I got it, Andres. Thank you. Okay. So, exactly. The only I can't win it, and Edson can't win it either. But the way this is going to work is basically we're going to share it, the question live on the air, and then the first person to email me the answer.
Okay.
At Sean, that's SEA, and I'm gonna put it in the chat.
I'll go ahead and put it in here.
thepeellive.com. Oh yeah, put it on there. That's even better. Sean at thepeellive.com. The first person to email me the correct answer to this question. That's not an @ symbol, bro.
Oh, it's because of the font. Let me change the font.
It doesn't have that symbol. Sorry. Yep, you're going to have to go with just a cheap font.
Don't ask why I have the official
Adidas font. That's kind of cool. World Cup 2014. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
thepeellive.com. Yeah, okay.
That's what you get for being a modder.
All right, so also while we're talking about thepeellive.com, we have a website, thepeellive.com. Yes, that's thepeellive.com. Anyway, so we're about to share this question. The first person to email me with the correct answer, and I will know who is first because it will show me timestamps.
Go ahead and forward it for me so I can also put it on the
forward it for you?
Yeah, from the message.
The question?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I got you. I was confused there for a second. I was like, what are you talking about? I almost copied the answer too.
Wow.
That's not
That's
helpful.
all right.
We should have done this before the fact. I should have really thought about that. We'll do that for DITV tomorrow night. How about that?
Yeah.
We'll and so tomorrow night, Edson's also going to be giving away a scarf, a RGV scarf that he picked up while he was down there. And we'll do the same type of thing tomorrow, where everybody will share on the air the question, and then the first person to email the answer tomorrow night will win. All right, so he's getting this all sorted and figured out. That's a really tiny text. Needs it to be big. I need it to be bigger, sir. You're failing me. That needs a different color too.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah. All right. So while we're waiting for the question to come up on the air, on the screen, I should say. Stud Buffett, no, it's all lowercase. Sean, SEAN, at thepeellive.com. You should be able to do all caps, though, and it should be fine. As an IT guy, I can tell you that should be fine. Carson, you failed. The answer is not Freddie Adu. If you put an enter in there, it'll probably do 2 lines instead of 1. But that'll probably be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine.
All right, here comes the question.
All right, and here we go. So the question is, how many MLS games has Owen Coyle coached? No, we won't do that. That's the question. We won't have music in the background because you guys can do this while we talk. But yeah, so email the answer to that question to the email address that is on the screen, and the first person to email me will win. And I get it on my phone, so I don't even have to like switch over to a different tab or anything. So all right, since we have you guys in chat and you guys are all running off to go answer the question, it's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be easy, guys. It's not meant to be easy.
That is true, Carson.
Probably twice as many as he should have, if not more than that.
Hey, you have to suffer to get this
That's
scarf.
Right. It's a fantastic scarf, and just so you know, it is the official scarf from MLS, the official MLS scarf. All right, I think we have a winner, but I'm not 100% sure. Give me just a second. Hold on, I got to verify the answer here. I think that's right.
Who sent it?
No one has answered it correctly so far. Oh, no. Andres, are you sure you vetted the answer to this question? Just so that we make sure that it's not a wrong answer. Because 2 people have sent the same number, and they're both wrong. So I'm asking that for a reason.
Yeah, I know, but if you really want this scarf, you're going to have to.
This does not include Open Cup matches, does not include Charities Cup matches.
I verified it twice.
All right.
Okay. We trust you, Andres.
Sure. So for anybody wondering, Matt Maldonado and Matt Casas are both incorrect. For anybody wondering, they both guessed 49 matches. Close, but not quite.
So I'll go ahead and show you the one for tomorrow.
That's a fantastic scarf, by the way.
Yeah.
We're not giving that scarf away. That's going to be my... I'm just kidding. It's going to be my scarf.
So this was the one
I'm kind of jealous, actually. That's a really nice scarf.
Yeah. And hopefully in the future, once I get some sponsorship or something, I'll probably have some down in the valley scarves.
We'll get there. Sometime.
Eventually.
We will. All right, so it's still open. Nobody's answered it correctly, so make sure you go find out what the answer is.
All right, what else do you have to talk about?
Whatever people want us to talk about. Throw out some questions in chat, and we'll be more than happy to answer them.
Do you want to go over like
there was
roster? Because
no. There was something else that came up that's U.S. Soccer and Dynamo related that I think you'll appreciate. So it came out earlier, I think at the very beginning of last week. Mm-hmm. No. It came out right after, like I think it came out Wednesday or Thursday. Jeff Cameron's interview with whoever it was. He was doing that interview in the car during the rain.
I think it was with ESPN.
ESPN FC, that's what it was. And it was such a...
Who, by the way, was going...
Brian Lockridge, try again.
He was actually going to be... Jeff Cameron was actually going to be on today with Glenn Davis. Yeah. So that would have been interesting. Yeah.
So essentially Jeff Cameron said a bunch of, I'm whining, I'm a big whiny baby. And he basically said if Jurgen Klinsmann was still U.S. men's soccer coach, that they would have made the World Cup. I don't care who you are, and I don't care where you're from. Klinsmann was not going to get us to the World Cup. The results leading up to him leading up to him parting ways were atrocious at best.
Yeah, it would have taken a miracle for a change of chip to happen that would have given the necessary results to have made it to the World Cup at the pace that he was heading at before he got sacked.
Absolutely. We have a winner, by the way.
Oh.
We have a winner. But let's continue on Jeff Cameron for a bit. We'll
we'll
make this person... we're going to make this person wait, and then we'll put it up on screen so they can be surprised. It'll be great. We won't say anything about it. Top one. Okay. So, anyways, it's really interesting to me, though, that he would come out and... It almost reeks of somebody who was just really pissed off. He got it right, too, but it doesn't matter because he was second. Sorry. Too late. Too slow. Y'all got to be faster. My email comes in fast, too, so y'all got to just be faster. But seriously, though, I mean, it just reeks of somebody who's just got sour grapes over some sort of, conceived or, perceived slight or whatever it is.
Well, wasn't he personally named by Bruce Arena?
Oh, yeah.
To
be fair, Bruce Arena was terrible regardless, but at the same time, I look at it and I'm just sitting there like, I don't care how bad a coach he was. You don't try to sit there. I don't care if he wasn't going to throw Jeff Cameron under the bus until Jeff Cameron threw him under the bus. It was in that order. Just so we're clear, That's the order that things kind of happen.
So he's salty of Bruce Arena being salty.
Correct. And it's like, look, okay, Bruce Arena said what Bruce Arena said. He was unhappy with you regardless of everything else. It comes down to what I said before. It's about professionalism. And Jeff Cameron's not showing that in that case. You don't do that to a coach, no matter how bad he is. You just don't, because it looks bad on you. How many players from the Dynamo sat there and said, oh, Owen Coyle was a terrible coach? None. Not a single player did. Even when they left and went and played for other teams, they weren't going to tell you that Owen Coyle was a bad coach. You don't burn bridges in soccer. You don't burn bridges in sports. You don't. Are you going to sit there and type the name in so we can put it up later? Yeah. That's what I was saying to do.
So
he forgot, clearly. Sorry, guys. Oh, poor Blues fan.
Right.
You can just replace the text you got there.
I know.
So, but to me, again, it just screams of somebody who's just got this, this chip on their shoulder that he didn't play. And man, if I had played, we wouldn't have conceded that goal that sent us home. Whatever. At the end of the day, I don't care. Jeff Cameron, at the end of the day, you simply failed. Whatever it may be, you weren't good enough. Whatever it may be, you didn't succeed. Whatever it may be, the U.S. didn't make the World Cup. As simple as that. And you can't continue to live in the past knowing full well that by basically browbeating that, hey, if this person had been here or if this was different, we would have been better. At the end of the day, what happened, and you're only going to make things worse by being a big baby about it.
Yeah, because you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Exactly.
I mean, how many times have people said bad stuff about somebody else, and then it turns out like in the future, like they're your boss, or it never fails. So. And
just so you know, Matt Maldonado, your second guess was obviously also correct, but you were a whole 1 minute off. 1 minute slower than Brian. I already closed it. El Viejo Joto. I can say it. We're not on KTXF.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but
I don't want to know what that means, but that's cool. I think. I don't know. I wish I knew better Spanish.
It's similar to.
Oh, okay. Where's Brian? Are you gonna say something, or are you just gonna be kind of cool about it and just like, oh well, whatevs? Brian, if you would do me a favor, since I know I follow you on Twitter, go ahead and DM me directly your address. Or no. I take that back. Are you going to opening match against Atlanta? Nice hint. It's it's pretty funny.
Yep, pretty much.
No, that's spot on. You can take my email address off the screen now.
Okay.
Not that I, am worried about people doing something with my email address, but I don't want to get signed up for porn bots or anything. So I know how you guys work. I know Gabe well enough.
So yeah.
Sorry, it's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, you know how people are nowadays.
No, I don't know how people are nowadays. You're going to have to inform me. This is not a political discussion.
Exactly.
This is not a societal discussion. So back to the Dynamo. Okay, so let's see. What else do we got to talk about?
Well, all I have to do, I'm just going to say a little bit right now. I'll say more about it tomorrow. But, I just confirmed that, Wilmer Cabrera obviously is looking out 100% on how the Dynamo will benefit from this relationship. Mm-hmm. Compared to Edson Ochoa, who said, and I fully agree with him, and I've posted it on Down in the Valley, that it's a better benefit for the Dynamo if RGV Toros is a winning team.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, because the way I see it is, if you're gonna grab players from a team who wasn't able to compete in Division II
in the USL,
what makes you think that these players will be able to compete for a spot at a Division I MLS team? So that's how people need to see it. That's why I'm trying to, make people understand is what my point of view is, why I want the Dynamo to make the Toros more competitive and also to stop poaching so many players. But that's a completely different subject. But the point is there. It's a bigger benefit for the Dynamo. If you just want to see how Dynamo will benefit from it, I mean, I understand it's,
So,
but that's, you got to have a winning team. You got to have, a base US competitive USL players that can benefit from the occasional time where the Dynamo decides to bring some first team players down to RGV, for fitness or things like that. But maybe if they're competitive, if they win, if they make it to the playoffs, then they'll have a better chance to fight for that top position. Wilmer Cabrera has always been about maintaining some sort of competition, between the starting 11 players and the bench players,
yeah.
And what better way
making sure basically your bench are quality enough that they could start if needed.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're going to grab players from your Division 2 team, which in this case is the Toros, who weren't able to do a good show in the USL, and you see it all the time also with how people view RGV. It's like, how Glenn Davis viewed Charlie Ward, how they viewed Eric Bird. Oh no, they're not ready for MLS, and those are two players that were a key part in the 2016 season who made it second in the Western Conference and made it to the playoffs. And Glenn Davis views them like, oh, they're not ready. They're not going to be able to compete, to be part of the death. What makes you think that people are going to be able to be very accepting of players if Toros can continue to be 12th in the conference?
Yeah, I mean, how competitive can these players be for positions in the Dynamo starting 11 or the Dynamo even start, Dynamo game day 18, game day 18, if they can't even push, to, push other USL teams, which is kind of what I see. And that kind of ties into something actually that I was just thinking about that I wanted to talk about, which is the ongoing discussions that are happening right now about USL and the Division 3 of USL 3 or whatever they're going to call it. And then our discussion that we had a few weeks ago about regional pro rel and why that would actually be potentially viable. Yes, Liam, I don't know what that symbol specifically means other than hi. Or maybe he's saying hi because he just got in here. Hi, Liam. Hi. Hi, buddy. But seriously, though, it's interesting to me that could be a viable way to allow for pro rel. I will do that, Brian. I will definitely do that for sure. Yes, for sure. But that there's actually a way and a place for pro rel in the U.S., even if it doesn't include MLS specifically, but to allow for the opportunity for teams to reach a higher tier than they may have otherwise. Oh snap! The Rockets are up 10 points in the end of the third. Yes. Oh, nice. Sounds about right. Liam laughed at us, by the way. But if that's a viable option, then what does that look like? You had the discussion with the guy from St. Louis from the Hooligans.
Oh, Mitch.
Yeah, Mitch from the Hooligans talking about how they had all these plans, and then at the last minute the USL decides to move them to the West from the East, and that kind of just changes all their plans. But things like that, those get kind of dealt with when you're talking about regional-based leagues. Now,
like the NPSL, right?
Correct, the NPSL. And by leagues, I really mean divisions of the same league. So it would be like USL would have a Central Division, a West Division, an East Division, or maybe even 4 divisions, and maybe you have a South, a North, an East, and a West.
Yes.
And it just kind of all, that's how it's all taken care of. But what happens is that way you can keep the regional going on. And basically what you end up with is promotion relegation happening within the region. So now traveling costs are not changing. Your traveling expenses don't inflate. They don't deflate. It's the same no matter where you are in those divisions.
Because they're in the same.
They're in the same region. They're in the same, I mean, maybe they go up a little bit. Maybe you're traveling a few extra 100 miles or maybe, 1,000 miles total more. Mm-hmm. But you're talking maybe 1 or 2 matches a season of doing that as opposed to 4, 5, 6, 7 extra matches a season.
Yes.
Not only that, it's also easier because you're building up divisional rivalries within your region now. You're building up regional rivalries and not just 1 or 2 teams, but we're talking very similar to the San Antonio RGV rivalry, except with let's add a Dallas team, let's add an Austin team, let's add an El Paso team.
And you know what? It could also be that same rivalry continue even if
exactly
certain team
if
were
one
to go
team
down.
if one team goes down or one team goes up to the top tier, and those rivalries could still remain. You could still have intra-league matches. You could still have, some of that going on.
And then they come back up and they're like,
exactly.
well, you went down, blah, blah,
exactly. Blah. But it fosters an atmosphere of competition. It fosters an atmosphere of rivalry without forcing the fact.
Yes.
It's regional. It's always going to have some rivalry anytime you're regional. But it also builds something else up, too. It builds up, now you have an infrastructure in place. You can start filtering these players through your systems to actually give them opportunities at the MLS level now. Because your player comes into a team, regardless of where they are in the system. Now they're going to be going against regional players. They're not going to have to travel as far, so it's cheaper for them, which means they can devote more time to the sport. They don't have to go get a second job necessarily doing all this extra crap, because now they can devote time to it because they're not having to spend so much money on travel expenses. Stuff like that. It's just, Blues, that's terrible to hear. He's going to miss the tailgate for the opener. Mm-hmm. We will be out there. At least I will be out there. I don't know if Edson's going to be out there. I don't know if
I'll be out there. I mean, on Friday, I'm more likely going to be in San Antonio, and then I'll make myself back
make the
by
trip
Saturday.
back.
Yeah, and come to the home opener.
There you go.
I gotta go see what that preseason friendly between San Antonio and RGV. Going back to rivalries.
And that's what March 2nd.
Yes.
Okay, I might have to make that trip with you. Give you a riding buddy. It's gonna be a great game. And I love that it's like so late in the preseason for RGV.
Yeah, you'll finally get to see. You'll get to see a closer.
That'll
view.
That'll be a more accurate view
Yes.
of what the team will look like for the USL season. Mm-hmm. And going against a team who fared very well in USL last year in San Antonio. So that should be interesting as well, just seeing how San Antonio comes back. They've signed a few players. They've done a few things, and their top defender, who was USL Defender of the Year, is no longer with them. He's at New York City FC.
He's traveling with NYCFC.
Yeah, which is impressive if you really think about it. I mean,
yeah.
And it kind of sucks because
Carson's buddy Sebastian Ibiaga.
I mean, but the thing was he was a Dynamo player.
Yeah.
He was from the Dynamo Academy, and had an opportunity to get this kid into the system and let him grow in the system. And he played for you at RGV, but you couldn't keep him in the system because you didn't really give him the opportunity to show what he was going to do and to grow. And now he's going over to NYCFC with an opportunity.
Well, I think that's more of a Dynamo
stick there.
problem.
It is. And it wasn't just, it was a Dynamo problem that I don't think we see as much now. I think we're starting to get away from that now. And I think we'll see more, it was a Dynamo problem because that's how, he came in during the Dom years, right at the end of the Dom years. That's how Dom was. Coyle was never going to play him. That's just not how Coyle played. So it really left you, with this gaping hole of where was he going to fit. And he's a fantastic player, fantastic defender, but he just wasn't going to fit in the plans. And by the time the Dynamo had shifted to a place where he would have fit in their plans, he was already ready to leave.
Yeah.
And good luck to him. I hope Sebastian succeeds at NYCFC. I'd love to see him become an MLS player. Yeah. He's a fantastic dude. He's a fantastic guy. And he deserves any bit of success he could find.
Yeah. And then, so San Antonio ends up signing Mickey Lopez. And they made a couple more signings. And
Mikey
Lopez, who is a Mission, Texas native, RGV native, which really hurt me.
Well,
But anyways.
Beggars can't be choosers. You can't always win them all.
Yeah. It was going to be difficult because of that partnership.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So don't forget, if you guys have any questions, be sure to put it out in the chat or the Discord. I guess.
Yeah, you can pop them in the Discord if you're in the Dynamo Discord for sure.
Yeah.
We are watching that as well.
We still have...
like 40 minutes.
40 minutes. We have 40 minutes.
We may cut off at 90 minutes because I'm starting to get hungry and there's food in the fridge and I'm really hungry to eat.
Yeah.
But
a lot of mashed
so
potatoes.
if you have there are quite a bit actually. A whole boatload of mashed potatoes, dude. I don't know what the deal was with that. But beside the point, if you are currently in the YouTube chat and you have a question you want to get answered, feel free to shoot it. Feel free to post it in the YouTube chat. Yes, food, Liam. I'm hungry. Give a shout out to Dallas. We never give a shout out to Dallas. There's no team in Dallas. Why would I give a shout out to Dallas? Look, Dallas is just a city. Come on, man. I'll share if you show up, Liam. You got 5 minutes. I want you here in 5 minutes. You don't know my address, but that's okay. This has devolved to a discussion about food. This is great. So also, little thing, and I posted this yesterday in the Discord chat. Actually, earlier today. No, it was yesterday. I don't know when to. About the city of Houston announced where they're going to, or city of Houston and Texas Central announced where they're going to have the station for the bullet train that's going to go between here and that city up north in southern Oklahoma.
Southern Oklahoma?
Yeah, southern Oklahoma. And it's going to be in the Northwest Mall. Now, why this is important is instead of having to drive for 4.5, 5 hours to get to Dallas and then another hour to get to Frisco, now you can take a bullet train for an hour and a half to get to Dallas and then take a taxi out to Frisco and save actually probably quite a bit of money because you're not using your own gas.
I don't know. I heard that the cost might be like $200 for a ticket for that bullet train.
That's first class. There'll be cheaper tickets.
Well, there better be.
Trust me, there will be cheaper tickets.
No,
there will be. I know for a fact there will be. But the reason this is important is now rivalry matches become a big deal. Because now you can have your entire away section there, for the most part.
Yeah.
Even weekday, weeknight away matches.
So what is it like? How much time will it reduce? What, like 3 hours?
3 hours. It's a 90-minute train ride. I mean, that's fast.
Yeah.
For as far as you're traveling. But I mean, again, the real opportunity is just that. Yeah, and they're going to make a stop in Brazos Valley / College Station, which I'm really excited about as well, because basically they made it so that there's a stop in every place that I really want to go.
Can we have one to RGV?
Yeah, can we have one going west? That'd be great. I mean, and that's the thing, right? It means that you'll be able to hop on a bullet train going from here to Dallas, bypass all traffic on a weeknight, get to the stadium in time to be able to watch the match, support the Dynamo at Frisco, and then leave and still be home in time to actually sleep a decent night.
It'd be funny though. We'd probably end up being the home team.
Yeah, in that stadium. Are you kidding me? Without a doubt. Even especially for a weeknight. Oh man. But on the flip side, it's going to be cool too because you're going to have a lot of Frisco fans that are going to be able to make it down. How many will? They're Frisco fans. Probably not many, but at least they can.
I mean,
the opportunity is there. But it's just cool to see that growing and that expanding. Dallas-Houston corridor has always been kind of a big deal. And I'm excited to just see a faster way to deal with it. When is it going to be built? 2019 is when they're going to start. Very soon.
Yeah.
But probably won't be done until like 2021. So we still got like 3 or 4 years. Other questions? Come on. Y'all are killing me, Smalls. You got 9 minutes. Actually, probably like 7.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Roughly, give or take. I'm trying to think if there's any other news that needs to be talked about.
That the NASL has done another
No, I
lawsuit.
said news. I said not fake news. I said news.
What do you mean fake news?
Hashtag fake news.
What do you mean fake news?
Who cares about the NASL? Get out of here with your lawsuits. That's just another Ricardo Silva thing trying to bully around, using legal methods. So, and I was listening, and that's exactly right. Gabe's right. It would be huge if we get the World Cup for 2026 in the U.S. That's going to be huge for Dallas and Houston to be able to show that.
Yes.
And be able to have that as, hey, now we have the infrastructure to not only host one match, now we have the infrastructure to host 2, 3, 4 matches because the travel time is significantly reduced. Mm-hmm. We become a central option.
Well, it'll probably be for AT&T Stadium, no?
Arlington? it should be somewhere close to there. I don't know if it's going all the way up to all the way over there.
No, I know, no, but I mean, but like for the example, like potential World Cup game.
Oh yeah, it would be AT&T Stadium. It would be NRG Stadium. Are the two that are on there. I don't think there's anywhere else in Houston or Dallas that could host it. But oh yeah, that's right. Andres, I was going to talk about that, and then there's one other thing other than that. But Andres said we had talked about that. Liam, you missed our first 30-minute rant about the jersey. So today we saw money traded for money. It was really quite cool to see money traded for money. Literally, there was no player involved. There were no rights to a player involved. There were no international or roster slots involved. There were no draft picks involved. It was just allocation money for allocation money.
So Garber bucks for Garber bucks.
And what it was basically DC United traded general allocation money to Toronto in exchange for Toronto sending them targeted allocation money. Now, the reason why this is important for the league is because it shows that there is an actual value to allocation money now. And it shows that there is becoming a divide between the value of targeted allocation money, which has restrictions placed on it to how you can spend it, and general allocation money, which the restrictions are still there, but they're significantly lessened. You can use it in a lot more ways with general allocation money. So general allocation money is more valuable than targeted allocation money. And we see that targeted allocation money they traded $250,000 for $325,000, or $225 for $325, something like that. Andres, can you correct me on that? But basically, it's like, it's 2 to 3 is essentially the ratio, pretty close to that. So, two targeted Garber bucks are worth two general allocation Garber bucks are worth 3 targeted bucks. And that's getting confusing now. But it's important because the Dynamo have some of that to trade as well. And there are opportunities. And I had this question asked to me earlier today. What do I think we spend our money on? And the answer is I think we see a CM come this summer. And I've stuck by that for how long it's been. But it's been long enough. I've stuck by that answer. And I think that's what we see is we see a DP come here in the summer. And here's the thing to consider. This team is built without really DPs on the roster. I mean, technically, Elise is a DP now that they've paid that transfer fee for him. Technically, Cabezas is probably a TAM player now. But, I mean, Kyoto's not a DP. Machado's not a DP. I mean, we really only have, if you think about it, one DP on the roster. And this roster looks good. That's a lot of room for growth. Okay, so DC received, thank you, Andres. DC received $337,500 in TAM, and Toronto received $225,000 in GAM. So yeah, so TAM is worth less than GAM. So basically, it's really a 1 to 1.5 ratio essentially. Where a 1 GAM buck is worth 1.75 or 1.5 TAM bucks, but it shows that there are also teams at the higher end willing to trade their GAM for TAM because that's how they can afford some of those supplemental players and some of the other players that they brought in that cost a lot of money. And that also tells me Toronto needed to spend that money for something. So it's just interesting. I find financials like that very interesting. It's very telling. It clarifies some things in the league. It helps set a precedence for things in the league. I mean, we've seen TAM and GAM traded for draft picks. We've seen TAM and GAM traded for international slots. We've seen TAM and GAM traded for allocation slot order. We've seen it traded for players. We've seen it traded for player rights.
I do have a question. You mentioned international.
Oh, and there's one more thing to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
Do these when teams trade international?
It's usually
slots,
for 1 year.
Okay, so it's usually for 1 year.
Yeah.
The reason I asked is because the USL actually implemented that as well.
I saw that.
So
yeah, there were quite a few little tweaks that USL made this year. Going into the year, they're going to support the 4th substitute in extra time, and a few other little things. Yeah, IR now, to where you'll have an IR. Where you could actually put in player on injured reserve and he doesn't count towards your cap or your roster slot budget. Just, very interesting things. It shows me the USL is trying to line up more to MLS, which is not a surprise. but it also shows that USL is making a concerted effort to become more in line with MLS, and I think that shows that USL is listening to MLS, and that's good. Speaking of USL and MLS, even though we're probably running out of time here, but that's okay. We can always go over because we're not on KTXF this week. Yeah. USSF, let's talk about this for just a second. It was relayed on Twitter that basically that somebody in one of the major regions had been lobbying within the Athletes Council, and it wasn't Julie Foudy, it was somebody else, had been within the Athletes Council or something to that effect, been lobbying for Kathy Carter on behalf of Kathy Carter because they were promised a chairperson spot on the board. My problem is, I told the people there would be a rant today. My problem with this is exactly what I've said all along. Sorry, I need to pull off the headphone a little loud. The problem with this is, as I've said all along, Kathy Carter is nothing more than the same crap we've been fed over and over, that it's okay, corruption's okay, because you know what, at the end of the day, we're making money. I don't care about the flipping money. I don't. As a fan, I don't care. As somebody who's involved in the sport, I don't care. Players don't care about that money in terms of the federation. They don't. They don't see hardly any of it.
Why do we have so much profit and none of it is being used?
Because we have business people at the top.
That's what I'm saying. And I think Carl Martino said something about that on Twitter.
Exactly the same
on Twitter. He said, why is it that we're making so much money for being a nonprofit, technically?
Yep. $150 million surplus.
Yeah. So we're making all that money, and yet you see stats that we have this amount of kids ages 3 to 9 play soccer.
Yep.
They get to like age 13 to 17.
They go play other sports.
Yeah.
Or they just stop playing. And,
we lose them.
Yep.
So, what is the federation doing to be able to keep these players? Let me tell you what the answer is. Jack shit.
The federation, the executive council of the federation, I should say that, they don't care about the average fan of soccer. They don't care about the average soccer player. They're at the top. It's a pyramid. They really are. They're at the top, and they don't care. What they want to see is they want to see the continuation of the money, because they're the ones. Oh, nobody cares about his potty mouth. It's okay. He's just being fired up because he's pissed off about it too. But what we're seeing is that this money returns to that executive council. Why I'm so pissed off about this is the sum tactic that we've seen all along. It's how Sunil got his position. It's how other chair people got their position, et cetera, et cetera. And if it's going to continue that way, that's FIFA in a nutshell. That is what FIFA was basically flagged for, was, hey, we're going to promise you. I mean, it's basically, it's and I hate to say this because I hate this word, it's politics. And the problem with politics is it's twofold, right? Poly meaning many, and ticks meaning blood-sucking parasites. And, at the end of the day, if this federation is going to grow, if this federation is going to become competitive, both in men's and women's soccer, on the pitch and off the pitch, it's going to require an executive council change. It's going to require a change within the core of what USSF is about, which is currently about making money. Justin and I had this discussion a couple weeks ago with Grant Cole from the SaberCats, who does the SaberCats play-by-play, the rugby enthusiast. And he, basically in the discussions, we realized that U.S. Rugby has the exact same issues that USSF does. And what it is, and what we're finding out, is these national governing bodies, the ones that are put in place by basically USOC or whatever, that these are the ones that are basically becoming super politicized, and they're the ones that are, while they're making money, they're also the ones that are causing problems for the sport as the greater whole within the country. And it was really interesting because we were asking him questions, and the answer was, and the question came up, what is the major problem with U.S. Rugby? And the answer was this: it was money. It was money. It came down to money.
Always money.
The people at the top, all they care about is the money. They don't care about growing the sport. They don't care about growing the coaching. They don't care about growing the officiating. They don't care about growing it in terms of in terms of the market. They don't care about it at the youth level. They don't care about player development.
You expect this money to trickle down from the federation to the professional clubs to through all the levels, through the youth levels as well. Also, making referees better, coaching also better. We've made so much money, but at what expense?
Exactly. It's like I said, I don't remember when it was, but I said we got 150 million surplus. We got 150 million surplus, but what the hell am I getting out of that 150 million surplus? I'm not getting anything.
It's just stashed out there in some sort of Caribbean island bank.
Yep, and that's exactly right. Stashed in a Caribbean island bank. That's spot on. But I know there are quite a few of you that feel the same way. Feel free to sound off in YouTube chat or hit us up on Twitter. We will have ourselves a nice little venting party. But it felt necessary to bring this to light because it, again, is another feather in the cap of Kyle Martino, of Steve Gans, not Eric Winalda because I can't stand him, and not Hope Solo either because I can't stand her. So pretty much just those two. Oh, and Winograd. I can't remember his first name, but Winograd. So those are the three candidates that I would support. Kathy Carter and Carlos Cordero are exactly the same as what we currently have. And to be fair, what we currently have is why we're in the position we're in. And my biggest concern is as they begin to dive into the politics of this and begin to do that whole thing where, hey, well, if you support us, we'll give you a position, in XYZ committee or, whatever. We'll support your cause or, whatever it is. My problem and concern with that is that's just enabling that same culture to continue and dig their heels in deeper because people listen to those types of things, especially the ones in the executive council and the ones in the voting, majority. They listen to those things because those are the things that got them to where they are. And it's just it's a vicious cycle that's not going to end unless one of those three people is voted in, it becomes president.
I don't know, man. I feel like in the end they're going to become like, you probably might get somebody that has good intentions, but at the end it's going to rub off on them unless we get rid of all the bad apples inside USSF, not just the presidency, because the president can only do so much.
Oh, it's very true. It is very true. The president's role is the president's role is to guide and lead, not to change necessarily. Who's my favorite for president? Kyle Martino's mine. Top by a long margin. I like Winograd. He's not quite there for me.
I can't answer that question right now because I haven't made that big of a research on them. So I'm not going to give an...
It's not Hope Solo?
Definitely not Hope Solo or Kathy Carter. Or the other guy you mentioned.
Carlos Cordero, who's the current USSF vice president, under Sunil. But all right, I think we've dug that one into the ground and thrown it in the grave that we just dug it. I think it's time for us to call it a night.
Yeah, I think so too. So
thanks for tuning in on YouTube. We appreciate it, guys. Again, if you are watching or you have watched this evening or you watch later, please feel free to like this video. Blues fan says the way the corruption is run is so disgusting and how they're able to tie it in so well. It's just awful. I completely agree. The current situation with the USSF is that of a leech.
And you know what I find so sad for all of us fans of the sport, is that we feel like, yes, we see all of this corruption. We see all of this, these bad ways how everything is run. And yet we fall into this position where, like, we know that it's wrong and we know we can probably do something about it, but we love the sport so much that, we kind of ignore it at the end of the day because we're out there, like, for example, MLS.
Yeah.
You know how MLS is run? All the bad things that Don Garber, how everything is run, this whole thing with pre-court.
Yeah.
And yet we're out there,
supporting it anyways.
Supporting MLS, you know, supporting the Dynamos, supporting the U.S. national team.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people say, well, you know, I think you got to hit them where it hurts them most, which is the wallet. But you know, here we are, like this past game, the U.S. national team, you know, against Bosnia and Herzegovina. We're there like watching the TV. We're watching it on.
Well, yeah.
You know.
I mean, I tried for a half. I didn't watch it for a half. I did pretty good. You know, then I got frustrated with the stupid desk because I couldn't figure out how to get the glass to sit on.
Yeah, and then you're listening to me like,
oh yeah, every 5 minutes walking out the freaking door like, what's going on? Oh, nothing. It just got closed. Oh, okay, crap.
Yeah, no, I get into it.
But to kind of wrap it up, at the end of what I see that has to happen is a culture shift. And the culture shift has to happen beyond just the executive council. It needs to happen with them. I don't think it will. But it needs to happen with just the way USSF is run. But the culture shift also needs to happen with pay-to-play. It needs to have, and I don't mean getting rid of pay-to-play. I mean change the way we view pay-to-play. Because pay-to-play has a place in this country if it's done right. The problem is it's not being done right. It's being done simply to make money. You know, we need a culture shift in youth development. We need a culture shift in the men's national soccer team. We need a culture shift in the equality where the women are being paid the same as the men. We need this culture shift. And the only candidate that is talking about a culture shift from the bottom up is Kyle Martino. And that's why I support Kyle Martino, because he wants to see the culture of soccer in this country change. He wants to see it become that community atmosphere that it needs to be to succeed. And I like that. I'm drawn to that. Now, with that said, every candidate right now is just saying what we want them to, what they think we want to hear. That's how this works. I am not, even though I support Kyle Martino, I have no way to know if he's the right guy for the job until he's voted in, if he's voted in. You know, it's like I can support the guy all I want, but he could turn around and be another Sunil Gulati, and we wouldn't know until he's in the office. I don't think he is. I have high hopes that he's not.
And there are so many examples of that.
Oh, absolutely. Because, you know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's just,
exactly.
It's always seen. And money is always going to talk.
So just FYI, this whole thing, it's Sean's personal opinion. This does not involve any of the rest of us at the Peel.
Why are you saying that?
No, because you.
Oh, I voiced my support of.
Yeah, you know, there's already been a bunch of.
You're right, because I'm the only one on our crew that's actually researched the candidates. Oh,
no,
snap.
I know where you're trying to get. And I
know.
You know, but the point is, you know, there's been so.
Yeah.
No. What I meant more along the lines is, like, for example, there have been so many cases right now with this whole, like, organizations that have backed a certain candidate, and then you have all this backlash saying, well, they're not representing my views.
Yeah.
And they're members of the organization.
I mean, keep in mind, you know, we want to be the voice of the, you know, typical Dynamo fan when it comes to stuff. And, you know, we just feel strongly about U.S. soccer because, frankly, we're fans just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. We've just been given this platform and this opportunity to be able to be that voice, to be able to say, hey, the fans have a voice too. The fans want to see these things, right? Yes. And when the Dynamo were dealing with the Coyle stuff, you know, on Twitter, there was a very vocal majority on Twitter. And if you go to Facebook, it's different, though. There are some interesting people on Facebook that just have very, very specific views on things.
Yeah.
Oh, Rockets won by 10 by ton. Both. But, you know, I say this to say basically that we want to give you an opportunity to use us to voice how you feel, to, you know, if you guys have thoughts or comments like you do in the YouTube chat every week, but, you know, we're just encouraging it more. You know, feel free to post them to Twitter and include us. We'll be happy to retweet it if, you know, if it's something that we agree with you, or even if we don't agree with you and we want to discuss it. We want to talk. We want to engage. We want to discuss. And you guys are that platform, that opportunity. You know, and you guys are usually pretty good about it.
And we can actually learn a different point of view that we never thought before.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've had it happen with me with down in the valley.
I mean, just because you're always wrong doesn't mean you don't have something to teach us. I had to say that while staring at him, too. But on that note, I think we are going to go ahead and close shop for the night. Guys, you've been listening to The Peel on YouTube. We appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. You can follow us on Twitter at ThePeel05. You can follow us on Facebook, ThePeel2005. You can check out our website at thepeellive.com. Check out our friends Dynamo Theory at dynamotheory.com and on Twitter at Dynamo Theory. Check out Down in the Valley tomorrow night at 7 p.m. every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. That's down in the RGV.com at Down in the RGV. And I don't think you have a Facebook page yet, do you? We haven't got to that level.
No, because it's still Carganara.
And remember, we are giving away, or well, he is giving away a RGV scarf tomorrow night. I don't know you anything, Gabe. Don't even start with me, buddy.
And hopefully I'll be able to also be giving away tickets for RGV games.
Yeah, we hope to start that back up too for
Dynamo.
For Dynamo with the Peel as well going forward. I'm just waiting to confirm a couple things with my ticket rep. Julio, I'm calling you out, man. Calling you
that pressure.
out.
That pressure, though.
Because March 3rd is here in less than a month now, so we got to hop on that and get that rolling. But yeah, again, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like and the share button and subscribe to our YouTube page. Yeah, I think that's it.
And get well soon, Justin.
And make sure you follow KTXF DB. That's at KTXF DB, the real, I think is what it is on there. Mm-hmm. For updates, we usually go live on there every Tuesday night, 7 p.m.
Hashtag blame Butters.
Well, also blame Justin too. If Justin was here, or, if Justin was available. Yeah, kind of. Don't remember, lift with your legs, Justin. Lift with your legs. But all right, guys, y'all have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later.
All right. Bye.